Okay. This Shabbos is also Tu B'Shvat, so let's open up with asking the obvious question of what does Tu B'Shvat have to do with us? We understand that as halachic ramifications as far as determining which year a tree is in, vis-a-vis its years of Orla, vis-a-vis its fruit that it produces, does it belong to, these are the fruits of 5767, or these are still last year's fruits, these are the fruits that budded last year, they weren't fully ripe until you ate them, or they weren't marketed to you until after Rosh Hashanah. Right? So Tu B'Shvat is the cutoff point of that this is 5767 as far as trees go, and the fruits that grow from Tu B'Shvat onwards are called the fruits of 5767. So they're from that year as far as whether it's Meiser Sheni or Meiser Ani, right? Right. So so it's a halachic date. It's a date that has halachic significance. We have many dates like this in halacha. I'll give you an example. Like Rosh Chodesh Elul is the same idea as far as Meiser Behema. Every year you have to take off tithes, Meiser from your, livestock. Okay, so we say the cutoff point is Rosh Chodesh Elul. That's where it's going to be a transition between last year's and this year, vis-a-vis now you need to take a new tithe, right? Right, and we don't celebrate Rosh Chodesh Elul, even though it's a Rosh Hashanah as far as Meiser Behema, right? So this Tu B'Shvat, that's a date which has significance as far as the halachic nature of what year is a tree in, vis-a-vis Orla, from what year are its fruits from? Are they from this year or from last year? Well, until Tu B'Shvat, it's all called, continuation of last year's produce. From Tu B'Shvat onwards, it's this year's produce. Fine. So we understand the halachic significance of Tu B'Shvat. Why do we celebrate it? Why do we omit Tachanun? Why is it a day that this year not because it comes out on Shabbos, but when it comes out on a regular weekday, we're allowed to say, personal bakashas, personal requests, which we don't say on Shabbos. So we also daven to have a good esrog, in this upcoming Sukkot. Right? Where does the meaning for man, where is that in Tu B'Shvat? Well, it's simply a halachic date, especially for the halachas of a tree. Right? What does it have to do with man? Right? That's the question we have to ask. Okay? We also have to research the relationship that Tu B'Shvat has with Parshas B'Shalach, because very often it comes out in the week of Parshas B'Shalach. This year it comes out mamish on the day we read Parshas B'Shalach, so there must be a connection. Now what the connection is, I want to save for later, because if we mention it from now, it just will spoil the surprise. Right? So let's first just take the scenic route around, and let's just note that we do find that man is called a tree, right? In Parshas Shoftim, by the prohibition of destroying fruit trees, even of a city that you're at war with, right? Lo tashiz eitzah, and the Torah says a reason, ki adam eitzah sarah, for even man is like the tree of the field that gives fruit. Right? It's like setting up man with the tree, right? Even later in that parsha, there's yet another allusion to this, not as open, but it's an allusion in the negative, meaning to say that the halach of Egla Rufa, which is the way Parshas Shoftim ends off, right? The halach of Egla Rufa is that a person is found murdered, between towns. So the elders of the closest town have to bring this calf that never did any work, right? And its neck is broken, right, in a Nachal Esan, in a valley by a stream, in a stream that an area which has never been worked and has never produced fruit, and it all symbolizes this guy died prematurely before bearing fruit, before making his full contribution. So also, the calf and also the area, right, an area that didn't bear fruit. So man is like a calf, that we can understand, because that's a domesticated animal that does work, right? And this man didn't finish his life's work; he was murdered prematurely. But also the area, because he's also like the earth that didn't produce fruit. So again, another allusion to that. The man is like the fruit-bearing tree. And we know that the Torah, throughout Tanakh and Chazal, is called the Eitz HaChaim. Eitz HaChaim alludes to the Torah. Right? The Torah is called Eitz Chaim L'Machazikim Ba. So something, in common, between a tree and man and the Torah. And we have to get out what is that common denominator, and then we can understand how Tu B'Shvat affects us also. Right? There are two major processes that a tree epitomizes, right? It's the epitome of two processes that are really processes that aren't just limited to a tree. They're processes in the entirety of reality, but the tree especially represents that process, right? It's a process general to the entirety of reality, and to man in particular, and to the Torah in particular, right? And they are two things. First and foremost, the most obvious one is that the tree bears fruit. That's the tree. When it bears fruit, it's not just it's like a productive laborer. It's not the same. It is what I was alluding to when we mentioned Eglah Rufa. It's not redundant. We take a calf that didn't work ever and we break its neck in a land that never produced fruit. It's not redundant. It's really talking about two different things, right? Two different types of productivity. One is epitomized, let's say, by the beast of burden, right? And the other one is epitomized by, bearing fruit in the agricultural sense. And there are two different types of productivity. Right? The productivity of an animal, it does work, right? And of course, the work, is lucrative. It's profitable. It pushes, it accomplishes, right? It's progress, but it's like more of the same. It's like doing the job, it's just filling a quota, right? That's the type of work an animal does, the type of work that it's the type of work a person does in a factory. That type of work of just putting the pieces together. The more pieces put together, the more profit you have. But it's just putting the pieces together, or pushing the plow, right? Pushing the grinding stone in the mill, right? It's pushing, and that pushing, is productive. But a tree does something totally different, right? The productivity of trees is to make new things that there never were before. Where does this fruit? Fruit is not assembled from parts, like the way we produce something in a factory, right? The work that the tree does is amazing, right? It takes nutrients from the ground, it takes, nutrients from the air, and from the water, obviously, and it produces fruit. It produces something amazing that there never was, right? The fruit is not the sum of, earth, air, and water, right? We'll try to do it in a laboratory, earth, air, and water. We won't be able to produce fruit, right? The tree is an amazing thing that it makes chidush, something new that there never was. Something new that's not just the sum of its parts. It's a chidush. It's something new. It's something totally new. And that's something unique that man can do that the beast of burden can't do. What man has in common with the beast of burden, they could both do the same type of work, as in, pull pieces together, push a plow, doing, physical labor and the benefits that come from a certain amount of labor, those benefits add up to some, to profits, right? But that's just adding up things, adding up effort, adding up pieces. But then man could do things that, parallel what the tree can do, and only the tree can do, other than man. And that's to make innovations, right? An airplane is not just the sum of its parts. Just to give an example from the innovation of secular life, let's say, to make an airplane. It's not just, if I throw a bunch of metal together, I'm not going to have an airplane. Right? It's the design, it's the technology, it's the special form and the aerodynamics, and it's a whole chiddush, metal. It's not that a certain amount of metal, if you put it together, it can fly. It's not the principle of an airplane. Right? The principle of an airplane is that, it's not the quantity of the metal, it's the special intelligent design. And it produces something more than just a whole bunch of metal together. It's like that could fly. Right? And that's the type of things that man can do. But even that is not a real chiddush. That's what Kol says, Ein chodesh tachas Hashem. There's nothing really new under the sun, because really the power of technology was there already. In truth, the laws of aerodynamics were there already. Man just pulled the pieces together. But that's just an example of innovation, right? But even that's not man's real fruit. Man's real fruit is his chidushei Torah, because that's what Chazal say this, right? There's nothing new under the sun, but above the sun there is new. Under the sun refers to technological advancement. It looks like it's new, but kvar haya lo lamin, it really was always there already, because the laws of aerodynamics were also there. Man, it just occurred to man how to put the two together, form metal in a way that is aerodynamics, and now you have a plane that can fly, right? So really, really, in the depth of it, man also over there just put the pieces together, right? But the Torah, the chidushei Torah, is to literally draw down from heaven to earth new ideas that were never on earth before, right? That the Torah, as it were, even though Moshe Rabbeinu saw, right, when he was in heaven, every possible chiddush in Torah, Mashitan Vosek Shol Rabbo, when a student asks his Rebbe, everything Moshe Rabbeinu was revealed to Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't teach it on earth. He only taught us, the basics, the basic Torah Shebachsav, the basic Torah Sheba'al Peh, the Midas Shator, the tools how to extrapolate the Torah and how to expand the Torah, right? But the actual detailed chidushim, he saw them, right? But he never taught them over. So it's not called that they're fully in earth space. They're only here in a very, very potential form. The way fruit is here in a very potential form, that you do have the earth, and you do have the water, and you have the air, but there's no way that you could just throw them together and have fruit, right? It's through that, and also like the Chidush Torah. It's not like just mix a Rambam with a Gemara and with a and it all comes up to a Chidush. We know that we work over our Chidushim very, very hard, and takes a lot of siyata d'shmaya. But when we finally break through, we work with these tools, but these tools help bring down understandings that weren't revealed within earth space. There's just a preparation to reveal them within earth space by the fact that they were shown to Moshe when he was in heaven. But it just made the preparation to bring it down to earth space. Showing it to Moshe, who brought Torah to earth, made the potential to bring it down to earth. But the ones who bring it down to earth is from above the sun. We bring it down to earth. That's the chidushei Torah. That's man's fruit, and those are the real innovations, right? So the tree is like this creature that makes something new. It may be working with certain actions, but do something totally new, not just the sum of the parts. And that's chidushei Torah. And that's really, I have to understand what chidushei Torah are. And that's what real chidushei Torah are. Right? No time to talk about the full depth of it. Right? So, man can do that. Man can make innovation, which is more than just the sum of the parts. Just like the tree, makes fruit out of air and water and earth. Right? But there's another aspect, and that is that the tree is probably the largest creature that exists in physical reality. It grows very tall, it spreads out, it branches out, it's huge, right? These sequoias and these redwoods are huge, right? And, and it's amazing that you have to think about this huge thing that branches out, and like you could have one branch and another branch, like theoretically a mile apart. It's a very big tree. One branch on one extreme, one branch on the other extreme. And if you would only see the branches and not see the common stem and the common roots, you think it's like two things that are very far apart from each other, right? And really it's all one thing. It's amazing. The tree's in a perfect unity. The tree's in a perfect unity, right? There's the power of, and this perfect unity is in two ways. Not just that you could trace all the way from one branch to another branch through the stem, through the roots. It's all one thing, but it's something deeper than that. There's the power of the all in the singular unit. You could rip off one branch, put it in water, grow another tree from it. Like, it's a perfect unity that you have the whole, the power of the whole in every single part. And that's why from every single pit that comes from a fruit, that comes from a single branch, so like the one pit is like one out of hundreds of thousands of pits, if it's like a very big fruit tree. And from there you grow a whole other tree. It's like a perfect oneness in the sense you have the power of the whole even in the part. It's an amazing thing, right? So now, the Sefer HaYosher that's attributed to Rabbeinu Tam says that's the way you have to look at reality, right? That reality, is a perfect oneness. It's all one place. The roots of reality are in God, because God is the source of life. Osi Azu Makor Mayim Chaim, God first love is the source of life-giving waters. So the reality is rooted in God because He's the life source, right? But we shouldn't look at now the Olamas, right? All the Olamas that branched out are now something separate from God, as if like the branches that are very high up and very far removed from the roots are like their own entity. They're not their own entity, right? They're in a perfect oneness with the roots and are perpetually connected to the roots, and without the roots they die. So also all the different Olamas that we created, even the lowest ones, where we are, the physical world, which is so permeated with evil and so permeated with rebellion against God, even that has its full life source from God, and is totally dependent and connected to God. It's distant from God, but it's just a distance that exists in the mind, just like the high branch. Oh, it's very distant from the roots, but it's getting its whole mitzias, it's getting its whole reality, its whole sustenance from the roots. It's not something separate from the roots in any way, shape, or form. It has tremendous distance from the roots. So the distance is an illusion, right? The distance doesn't represent any type of independence whatsoever, right? And that's why the Mekubalim call the setup of reality the Ilan HaKodesh, right? The holy tree, right? You have to look that God is everywhere equally, and God is the life source of all the different Olamas equally, right? The distance that there is between our world and God, it's literally just that distance, but that distance has no reality to it. It's like the very, very high branch. It's far away from the roots, but it's totally dependent on the roots, no less than the branches that are closer to the roots, right? And that's the way a person also has to be also, right? A person should not be schizoid. A person has to love Him with all your heart, with all your heart, Chazal Darshan, even with your Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Ra. We have to be totally unified. Kol ma'asecha yiyu l'shem shemaim. All your deeds should be for the sake of heaven. Right? It should be the unity in all our deeds, is what the Rambam discusses in the 5th chapter of his 8th chapter introduction to Avos. There should be a unity in all the different things that we do, that they're all geared to serve Hashem. And of course that's easier to come by if you realize that everything about you comes from